What is the dumbest thing you got punished for in school? Flip the monitor screen upside down. Control and Alt and arrow key. Got banned from using any school computer for the rest of the year. I did this by mistake once and told my friend about it. After I left, he decided to flip the screen and leave it that way. I got in trouble for leaving the computer in an inoperable state. They had to re-image the whole thing. 6th grade. A classmate got to school without her backpack and I was the only one to notice. School started and she was looking for her bag and I told her I saw her arrive without it, after which she started yelling at me for no reason, telling everyone that I had hid her bag. I exploded with laughter because it was funny that she was blaming me. Teachers came and sent me to the principal's office. Nobody believed me. I guess giggling didn't help. I was in detention until this kid's mom called the school to let her stupid daughter know that she forgot her backpack. I'm 33 now and not so long ago I saw this girl again. I went to say hello and to remind her of that day, which to me it's still funny. She didn't react at all to that. Yeah, you are still an butthole Susan. Freaking Susan. In middle school one of my friends brought Hello Kitty band-aids to school and our entire friend group decided to wear them as an accessory. Hands arms, because they were cute. Our English teacher wrote us up and demanded that we don't wear bandages for the rest of the year because he saw them as gang symbolism. A Hello Kitty band-aid gang. I still don't understand his thought process. Walks into a small store. Alright, you cute little kitties. Give us all of the money, or we will hug you. Holding my pencil the wrong way. Teachers hated it. They tried those little rubber things, and nothing worked. I liked my way. I have nice handwriting by the way. Well, this really irked my 5th grade math teacher, so she started to dock 5 points on every test or quiz I held my pencil wrong. When my father asked what it was about, and I told him, he laughed and said, "Keep going." 4th grade. This crazy girl who was always talking to herself told me about her elaborate plan to kill the teacher. I told the teacher and got in trouble for gossiping. Talking during lunch. The policy was a silent lunch, also with silent class hours, meaning the children weren't allowed to talk, which essentially gave everyone a half hour of recess to get out all of that built up energy. Understandably, my 5-year-old self was not down with that. We were in the process of being dismissed anyway. It technically counted as recess time. I have a somewhat common sounding name. However, I've only ever really encountered 2 people with my name. One of them was in middle school. He was black. I'm white. One time I got called to the principal's office for something that happened on the bus on the way to school. I wasn't a bus rider. All the other students involved were black. One look at me, and the principal knew it wasn't me. So, I was dismissed. The next year, I decided to cut class with a couple of friends. We just took off running across the field behind the cafeteria at the end of lunch. As we ran, one of the administrators saw us, and another friend of ours was close by. Pretty sure he got grilled and ratted us out. My 2 other friends got suspended, and I never heard a peep. I suspect the opposite happened. The black kid with my name got called in, and they obviously knew he wasn't involved. TLDR. Me and a black kid with the same name got each other out of trouble by being different races. This could be a sitcom. You guys could live together and get in wacky antics and social misunderstandings. Being left-handed on the first day of 1st grade, the teacher took away my pencil and made me use my right hand. When my mother picked me up, I told her what happened. She talked to the principal, who apologized, then called in the teacher to make her apologize. The rest of the school year was very tense. Another event occurred to me. I got a day of internal suspension in high school for having an overdue library book. I had returned it in time, but the librarian put it on the wrong cart and it was shelved without being scanned back in. I know this because a few days after I returned the book I saw it on the shelf. I still had to pay the overdue book fine. I wasn't permitted to graduate college until I returned or paid for a book I had only had for 24H and late fees, because the library lost it. I very much feel your pain. Refusing to dance in kindergarten. We were doing some activity that involved dancing. I didn't want to and I convinced a friend to join me in protest, so they sent me to the principal's office and called my mom. Dang the man. Starting a huge conga line my senior year. One morning, I went to my locker and was taking to my friends. We decided to start to conga for some stupid reason. I was in the front, so I led us down the hallway. I started to point at people and tell them to join the party. I told them to invite anybody that they knew. I led us through the cafeteria, through the gym, and when I decided to walk to the principal's office, a teacher stopped us and said that the conga line was a fire hazard since it had gotten so long. I told him that was dumb. If there was a fire, we'd conga right out of the school. They gave me a good taking to for being a smart butt. Also, I was going to get paddled by the principal for fighting. He told me he liked me, so he was only going to give me one paddling. I said if he really liked me, he would give me two. I was suspended. Hugging a friend of mine. School had a no PDA rule and they cracked down on it. I had just seen my friend for the first time after winter break. I gave her a hug for like a second. I am also female. Teacher saw it and threw a fit and I would up talking to the principal. Good thing the principal was a smart lady. She let me and my friend off with a warning. I never hugged anyone in school after that. What the frick kind of rule is that? In 5th grade we were starting an assignment, and the TA was going around passing out the papers we needed. I was going through my pencil case mumbling kind of a supply checklist to myself. Pencil, sharpener, eraser. She hands me the sheet, and I say, paper. She looks at me all weird and walks away. Don't know what that was about, but I start working. About a minute later the teacher walks up to me and says I have to stay in for detention at recess. What? Reason? The TA thought I said payback. Apparently as in there'll be payback for giving me this paper. I guess it was completely retarded. I explained myself, but they just weren't having it. We argued until lunch, and I was getting increasingly pissed off to the point where I was on the verge of tears. Eventually everyone left, and the teacher said, okay, I believe you. I don't think you'd be this upset if you weren't telling the truth. Just apologize and you can go out with the rest of the class. That pissed me off even more. I asked what I was supposed to apologize for. Just say you're sorry, we misunderstood you, then you can go play. I took the detention. Cracking my back. The teacher wrote me up for doing gymnastics in class and sent me to the principal. He laughed and asked if I did a barrel roll. I had to have it signed by my parents as well, who laughed too. It was funny for everybody, but at the end of the day I was still stuck on a Saturday morning doing stupid work. Still bitter. Reading during class. This was computer class. They were teaching us how to open a Word document. The detention was lunch detention. They assumed that me, a lonely little 6th grader, would be in agony by not eating in the lunchroom, but instead a quiet room. I just happily ate my lunch and read my book more. My senior year of high school, power went out and neither my mom's nor my alarm went off. This was 30 years ago. No cell phone alarms. Neither one of us woke up in time to get me to school on time. She brought me in late with a note saying it wasn't my fault that I was late. They gave me a detention for an unexcused tardy. I go off that it wasn't unexcused, that I had the note that said I wasn't the cause of me being late. The office person said that that note wasn't a valid excuse. I say something along the lines of, so you're telling me that if I would have lied and said that I had a doctor's appointment, I would be fine? She says yes. I tell her that's bulls and all they are doing is telling people to lie instead of telling the truth. She says something along the lines of, someday I'll learn that telling the truth is its own reward and that lying has its own consequences. I said, but those consequences aren't a detention. I was furious. I went to the phones at school, pay phones, and called my mom at work, told her the story, and an hour later I got called back down to the office. Apparently my mom had written the wrong thing on the note. I was at a doctor's appointment that morning, so I didn't have to serve a detention. Moral of the story, lying gets you places in life. In 4th grade I drew a picture of Link from Zelda, and included a crappy portrayal of the Master Sword. Went to principal's office, and had my parents called. I must have been in 1st or 2nd grade. I was sitting with a kid on the bus to school that I got along with. We weren't great friends, but we'd talk on the way to school. I have no clue what started this convo, but he starts asking me if I thought a grenade could blow up the bus. Well, I guess. What about an RPG? I guess. A tank could definitely do it. That wasn't verbatim, but you get the gist. It was some kid just idly daydreaming, probably about Call of Duty or something. I do remember that this day I'd been reading when he started this convo. I replied with nothing other than yay, makes sense, or I guess. We both were suspended from riding the bus for a week. English class in 10th grade. We had a test on a book we were supposed to be reading. The entire test was short answer and I had literally not read a single word of the book, meaning it would be next to impossible for me to guess any of the correct answers. When the teacher was passing out the exams, I politely said to her, "I'm sorry, but I didn't read at all, so you can just keep my paper." She told me that she was very disappointed and asked me to at least write my name on the test so that she knew I was present that day. I wrote my name at the top in pen, according to the syllabus in that class. Using a pen on any of the assignments results in -2 points on the grade. I received a -2 on a test for that. I would have performed better by staying home that day. Got yelled at in 6th grade. I was bused to a bad neighborhood by the guard watching us on the playground for being on the sidewalk, not the blacktop. I said, "Okay, sorry," and did a little wave. She detained me and drilled me, "What gang sign did you throw up at me?" I was this little 10-year-old white Mormon girl and didn't even know what a gang sign was. Because a girl slapped me as a joke. I got lunch detention, but I just skipped it because I thought the zero tolerance policy was bulls. My name is spelled with a H in the middle, which is unusual for said name to be spelled for the female variant. In year 7, a teacher went off on me when I was writing on the front of a book saying that wasn't my name and I'd spelled it wrong on purpose. Cue a very long argument I lost, which resulted in me having to write lines of the spelling without the H in my lunch break while the teacher berated me for lying about something I wasn't actually lying about. Reminds me of a sub we had that wouldn't believe that my classmate's name was Gideon. Like, that's an older name, sure, but it's perfectly normal and biblical even. The sub flipped the frick out, thought everyone was messing with her, that was his name, and he got sent down to the principal. Burping. No crap. 4th year of school in PE. Playing with the big parachute, I burped, excused myself and was told to remove myself from the lesson. My friend got detention in 2nd grade for burping. For not doing anything. We had recess and the janitor came to me and said, "Yeah, you have detention." I said, "Why?" He said, "You know why?" I still don't get it. There was a kid in my class with obvious behavioral problems, but the school didn't do jack crap to help him. One day at recess, some other kids were playing keep away with his hat. He has a total meltdown and just starts attacking one of the kids, throwing punches, kicking, screaming. Trying to defuse the situation, I walk up behind him and bear hug him so he stops punching this kid in the face and just keeps saying, "Calm down." At that moment I hear a teacher screaming my name. I turn and see her watching from a window. A minute later she comes running outside yelling at me and drags me to the principal's office. My parents are called and I have to have a conference with the teacher, principal, my mom, the other kid, his parents. Nothing I say matters because this teacher saw me beating this kid up from her window. I ended up with detention, had to apologize to this kid and his parents, and was suspended from the basketball team. It's especially sad because you did exactly what you're supposed to do when someone's having a meltdown like that, to help them chill out. I was in the 4th grade. Prior to being dropped off at school by my dad, I had discovered an old school Lego spear. You know, the little brown ones, and a rubber band. I had likewise discovered that if you stretch the rubber band around the length of the spear and then pull slightly on it, you can make a square shape with the spear propping up 2 of the corners. This is amazing, I thought to myself. I conveniently forgot that if you pull on the sides of the rubber band too much, that the spear goes flying. So I brought my new square making toy in to show all of my friends, and they were about as impressed as you all are reading this. We're waiting in line to go to one of our classes and I'm showing a friend, and lo and behold, the spear flies out of the rubber band and hits our teacher in the glasses. She just stares at me. I stare at her, and she says, "Go to the principal's office." I find out that she claimed that I was attempting to kill her. The principal just laughed while all 3 of us were in her office, and she told me that she had to call my dad and he had to come in. The principal relayed the story and now my dad's laughing too. TLDR. My teacher thought I was attempting to kill her with a Lego spear. Walking home instead of riding the school bus. I lived only a mile from the school and decided I was going to start exercising by walking home every day. They allowed this, but I had to have a note written by my mom saying I could, and I didn't know that. When they tried to punish me for it, my mom basically told the principal to frick off. Punishing you was stupid as you were obviously a child who didn't know any better, but the policy is important. The school needs to be able to account for each child when they leave campus in case something happens. Math class, 8th grade. I couldn't figure out how to do a problem. The teacher got frustrated and told me to read the book. I said, "You're the teacher. Teach me." Got detention. Hey, I don't show up where you work and tell you how to suck dongs, kid. Yelling no loudly, 4th or 5th grade. The teacher asked us if we wanted to play a game no one liked. Everyone was like no, and I guess I yelled. I didn't even realize I was louder than the other kids, and I was very confused that I got in trouble. I was sent to sit in a little cubicle near another classroom. The teacher forgot me and they all went to lunch, and some other teacher found me there, crying, alone, in the dark. And then in high school, the teacher said no talking and the kid next to me asked me a question, and before I could even tell him to shut up, I got detention. He didn't go. I had to copy an essay about how I would bring my letter grade up by paying attention in class. I had straight A's. Another time, in maybe 7th grade, my friend kept throwing my Hobbit book across the lunchroom, and then when I went to get it, she would bump me off the end of the bench onto the floor when I tried to sit back down. So she goes to throw it again, and I grabbed her wrist to stop her and she started crying and we both got attention, which I thought was really unfair considering she was bullying me, and he had literally knocked me to the ground. In high school I was sent to the principal's for wearing a short-sleeved loose-fitting dress that went down to my knees. They claimed it was too provocative. What? I was furious. I got yelled at for consulting an encyclopedia. No formal punishment. The teacher just knew she was wrong and I was about to look up the correct answer. Kissing my girlfriend. Someone in a house across the street saw, called the school, and I was suspended for a few days. Sounds like the guy who called was jelly. Stepping on a rug in middle school. It was in the middle of the rotunda and no one was allowed to step on it. I did, and I got in school suspension. Why the frick would you even have a rug if nobody can step on it? That's like having a clock that doesn't work. It's useless. I turned around in algebra to look at the clock. The teacher thought I was talking to the person behind me and I wasn't allowed back into class for the day. Does high school count? If yes, then pimping out my friends. After a night out partying, 2 of my friends lost their virginity in what I understood was a pretty awesome threesome. Day after this happened I got called into school and threatened with expulsion. Being expelled. Apparently their parents came into school and complained about their daughters having lost their virginity in such a way. Not exactly sure how they found out. I can only assume one of them told and phone calls ensued. The conclusion was that the 2 girls would have never done this on their own. So they must have had a pimp who dragged them into this and later benefited from the encounter. That would be me. The guy involved in the threesome didn't even buy me a thank you drink. Ended up getting a 1-week suspension. The principal knew the story was bull but he didn't want to bother fighting the crazy parents. Butthole of a kid thought it would be funny to attack me out of the blue. I ended up with a sprained wrist and some broken ribs and he was totally fine. I got a week in school suspension and he got away scot-free. I got in trouble once back in junior high for some kid deciding to fight me and I didn't fight back but zero tolerance and all. He tried it again about a month later thinking he was hot crap and I beat the crap out of the kid. Getting in trouble the second time was totally worth it. I had some kids prepared to hit me in the face with a football. I decided to grab his arm and take the football out of his hand. Another kid then took the ball and threw it at him. He went off and cried saying I hit him and then threw a football at him. Everyone else in the classroom took the stance of no snitching and I got suspended because no one would verify my side of the story. So much for defending myself. It was the 1960s. I was a straight A student. When asked my opinion about a book the class was reading, I admitted that I thought it was boring. I got 10 lashes with a leather strap on each hand and a month of after school detention. 6th grade. I got into an argument with a kid who bullied me a lot. So I told him at least my parents like each other, his parents are divorced. Dong move, I know, but this kid is a huge butthole. Anyway, he gets pee and leaves. I think finally, he leaves me alone. Nope. He returns with a big rock and bashes me in the head with it. I'm knocked out and have to get carried back to the nurse's office by another kid, leaving a blood trail all the way. I required a few stitches, so I get suspended for 3 days and 1 day of in-school suspension for bullying the other kid. Went home for half a day. I have had a few situations in my public school life that just made me lose complete faith in our administration. That is beyond ridiculous. It always makes me even more sad and angry when I see more cases out there. It's almost comforting to think, oh, hey, it must only be X school that's so bad. But nope. I was in art class, and my friend was walking in the hall and waved at me through the door. I waved back right as the teacher looked at me, and she took me in the hall and griped both me and my friend for it. Not me, but my friend got sent down to the principal's office 3 times in one class period for telling a girl that she has nice hair. Running down the corridor backwards, giving my terrible guidance teacher the finger and calling her a ginger goblin. See, kind of acceptable reason to be punished, now I think of it. Called a guy a name after he made fun of my last name. He walked up and decked me, smacked my head on the desk and tore my lip open. Guess who's the one that got detention? You. Zero tolerance for the win. My friend wanted a packet of ketchup. We aren't allowed to have more than 1 packet. He took an extra one and was suspended. My high school's tech department decided that making the admin login credentials have the username admin and the password be the abbreviation of the school, HS. Once I realized that, I decided that needed to grant myself all admin privileges. I eventually got caught because kids in the library behind me started trying to look over my shoulder to watch March Madness since it was blocked for everyone else. Tech department accused me of hacking into their network and disagreed with my assessment that it was social engineering at best. In the end, I lost computer privileges for 2 weeks and wasn't allowed back in the library. If they were competent and investigated it at all, they would have found out I kept crediting my student lunch account and basically never actually paid for food the entire year. It was dumb in mind that I got in trouble for the harmless aspect of it all when they really had no idea what I had actually done. Going to the washroom. Grade 7 during French class, I had to go to the washroom since I just had a math test and was unable to go then. I asked my teacher and he said no, even though he wasn't teaching and we were supposed to just read a passage. I told him it was an emergency and he still said no. So I walked out and he started yelling after me. When I came back from the washroom, he gave me detention, so I left to the office to talk to the principal about this and told her I am not gonna stay after school for this. The principal ended up having a talk with my teacher and my detention suddenly turned into a warning. It is actually illegal to deny children the bathroom on most states. You are allowed penalize them or even make them wait for a person to come back, but an outright no is illegal in most states. There's a few to pick from. 1. In 5th grade, my Midwestern art teacher told us to wash our paintbrushes. I asked her how to spell that. She sent me to the office. 2. In 7th grade, I copied and pasted my friend's paper 400 times when he was gone and he started to print it. About 40 pages in, the teacher noticed. Got sent to the office. 3. In 7th grade, I let people tie me to a fence. Got a week in detention. 4. In 2nd or 3rd grade, my friend and I traded food. At the time, we had a strict no talking or sharing food rule during lunch. Got sent to the office. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.